There are many that are moved to save others, and they pull back, as I mentioned earlier, a few moments ago. The will and the desire is there. There's something else. We call it a need, or something else holds you back. And it may not be fear. Sometimes fear will hold you back, but not under certain conditions. There is no fear, but then all of a sudden, it's the time. Then it's time. Time rules. You're frozen in time. And that is probably one of the most devastating things of all in life. It's like death, when you can't do what you have every atom in your body ready to do for every good reason and purpose on earth, and all of a sudden you're just held back by time. It's a crisis. It's a crisis of which time world you're in at that moment, and who's saving who. So you're frozen by actions unknown, which means you don't have to do that for yourself or for them. The debt's already paid. It's like, who was it? Who was brought to the mountain to slay his son?
Abraham.
Exactly. Right. He was grieving about it. He's ready to do it. But then, boom, didn't have to do it. Like a moment like that. Complex paradox. We have these moments. And I'm not saying that that particular example is everyone's example or everyone's position in the universe. No, everyone is subject to the same realities. Same awakening. The same intervention under certain conditions. Maybe less dramatic than Abraham's, relative to our own purpose. Relative to what we can do, what we can't do, which is then governed by time forces. Mysterious, the time makers. Yeah. Sometimes they're angelic presences, sometimes not.
It kind of gives a different spin on the notion of doing what you can, because
well, that gives you exactly what it is. You do what you can, what you are capable of doing, and no more. You try, but there's no more. I mean, you have to see the no more, that kind of limitation, as a positive. And that it's all positive. Despite your limits, you press on. But you're okay with the fact that you're limited. Press on, you realize the limits, respect your limits, and then say, not my will, but thy will, Spirit. There's nothing wrong with that. And Spirit gets it, your intention is considered. And your intention then gains the day for you. You win the day. Because then it goes to another sort of level, where it's more in the form of, well, by your intention you will be judged, not by your actions. By your intention and the influences by which you're coming to terms with what that is and creating it.
and so is
So many murder without the intention of murdering, and they don't know why they murdered, and they say, I could never do this. I would of myself never do this, but all of a sudden it happened. Some would say that they were used and be telling the truth, but there's no way to prove that. I was used by a darker force, but that doesn't go well in a materialistic, let's say, court of law. There's no proof. So you need a different kind of jury. In the future, maybe there'll be a more sane, complex jury to make a judgment on that level. Not at this time.
So is the I am statement a statement about intention?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I am is what?
I mean, it could be state of being, or I guess I'm trying to make a distinction between Being and intending.
I am means it is. So I am is everything and nothing. I am, it is. It is I am. Who, what, where, when, and why. Good point, of course. We need to go deeper with that. Yeah. Comment?
So are we defined by our intentions in a sense?
Well, intention. You have to understand intention. What you had in your mind, like the example given, where let's say the honest person, the sincere person says, I had no intention of doing that. This is an accident. See, I had no intention of turning my car wheel this way. But you can't prove it. My intention was not. You give them a lie detector test and you see they can max the lie detector test. But they can't prove it beyond that. So I had no desire to do this. It wasn't in my mind, so it would say no excuse then, because you did it. You let it happen, so then they are penalized according to what happened. And then that person is then judged as a person of mistake identity. Identity is judged. So I don't know how that could happen. They thought there would be justice, but you know, there are other forces that are mixed into this whole thing. And this is what the sacred knowing of is, in the larger sense of the book. See, past the fragment that's in the is on Kindle, see, in the works right now. It deals with these kinds of issues, these questions. The what ifs maybe, and then who knows in this case. Creating more room, more space for other influences rather than just the ego, which is not under its own control most of the time anyway. It's always being used by the river of blood, emotions, desires, other programs, unconscious programs. We have a reactive unconscious that's like more the problem than not. That has to be tamed. We have to come to terms with that, pacify ourselves. That's what's driving all of the peeps you see in the world today. Most of them.
And so would you say that spiritual practice brings more congruence between intentions and actions?
That's its purpose. It's to bring you to intention, sacred intention, in order to be able to walk, with a sacred attitude. See? Have a sacred view of things. Make your path sacred. You walk sacred with 2 feet on the ground, head in the sky, your heart shared amongst other people.